Hello and welcome to the Street Spotlight stage. Our next talk is Complete Forensics, so please welcome Gary Howard, Dacia Benefer and Gareth Deneen.
Hi there, thank you very much.
Hello, and thank you very much. Thanks for the kind introduction. I'm Gary Howard. I'm the Managing Director of Complete Forensics. We are a forensic science consultancy, and we also do a lot with education. Gareth and I are both teachers. He's qualified. I'm still qualifying as a teacher. It takes a long time. As you can see, I'm only 21, so don't worry. What we do as a company is try and get the message across to get more young people into science. Very recently, I was told that the UK needs 1.2 million new scientists by 2020. 1.2 million new scientists. And that's across all the scientific fields. As an economy, we need those young people to come through. So what we do is we use forensic science, which is what our background is, to hook and use it to entice people into the sciences. So we're not necessarily saying, do forensic science. What we say is, come and see what forensic science is and see what doors that will open to you in other sciences. Okay? We started in 2013, and this is the third year we've delivered the Forensic Science Competition for World Skills UK. So tonight we'll have our third ever medal winner. I can't tell you who it is, but I know it's a female, because all our competitors were female. So next year, lads, come on, we want you to take part as well. If you're in college or university, take part, okay? Register. It's all for free, and you get masses and masses of skills out of it, okay? What we're going to do today is just briefly talk about some of the pathways into forensic science that we advise people to go and to take those pathways, okay? It's not all like the television, I can promise you.
Thank you very much. Right, so first of all, there's general confusion that we find when we deal with students, and they're not necessarily aware of the skill sets or certainly the career pathways. So that's something that we wanted to start with for anyone that's considering a career in forensics. First of all, we just wanted to bring to everyone's attention there's forensic science and forensic investigation. So forensic investigation is the first slide that we'll start with. And the first sort of sector of forensic investigation is normally the crime scene investigator, or scenes of crimes officers as we used to be called. Now, the scenes of crimes officer or crime scene investigator, that's a role that's we're employed by the police, not as police officers, as civilian members of staff. A lot of people will often ask the question, what if I joined the police as a police officer, and could I then sort of sidestep into crime scene investigation? As a police officer, you can sidestep into many different areas of the police, such as dog handlers, firearms, etc. But crime scene investigation is one of those things that it comes under the forensic investigation department, and that is purely for civilianised staff. So as the CSI, the sort of things that you'll be doing is attending the scenes of crime. You'll be looking at recording the scenes of crimes. You'll be photographing those scenes and any other injuries on people. Because at the end of the day, a scene of a crime is not necessarily just a location. A crime scene could be a human being as well. So forensic imaging comes into it, and photography is a factor that interests a lot of people to come into the sector and know that photography might be of a particular interest, a hobby, and that's something that attracts a lot of people sometimes because it is a big part of our job. So DNA sources, identifying sources of DNA at crime scenes, a variety of sources, that's what we have to be able to do and have that knowledge of what yields DNA, what sources yield DNA. Trace evidence, looking at fibres, etc., hairs, that's the thing that we'll be looking for at scenes of crime. Also conducting fingerprint examinations. We're not fingerprint experts. A scenes of crime officer is not a fingerprint expert. There's some forces like the Metropolitan Police where some of their operational staff that are scenes of crime may have qualifications in fingerprint expertise, but the general forces, county forces predominantly, your job is just to identify finger marks, enhance them and recover them for further analysis, as we'll talk about in a second. And one of the biggest parts of our job, regardless of forensic, is intelligence gathering, is listening to people, listening to what information's out there and the information that we can take back to the police and pass that on as potential intelligence to help us catch criminals and coordinate that intelligence. So, as a crime scene investigator, we pretty much go to the scenes of crime, we recover that evidence, we record it. We do not analyse it, and regardless of what CSI Miami tells you, we do not analyse it. In the UK, we literally record it, recover it. So, police investigations also will include, like I say, fingerprint officers proceeding to fingerprint expert status. Their job is purely to remain at headquarters and look at the finger marks that we recover from crime scene and compare those against what we call 10 prints. They're the fingerprints that are taken from suspects when they're arrested and taken into custody. So they will be predominantly trying to match the scenes of crime marks against the 10 print marks that are held on the national database. There are other diverse in the areas that the fingerprint expert might sort of step into, but generally that's predominantly their job. You've also got, as part of the forensic investigation department, the chemical enhancement technicians. Now we highlight that because, as we'll talk about qualifications to move on in the career of forensic investigation, a lot of places require, BScs, or honours degrees in forensic science. Chemical enhancement technicians is a technical role that doesn't necessarily require that forensic science degree. So it's something that we open up to people and say, look at not just the investigation role, but also some of the technical roles behind the scenes. And one of their jobs is predominantly to, enhance marks using specialist chemical techniques that we can't use at crime scenes sometimes. Evidence, if it's mobile, and we, say, for example, sticky adhesive tape that we recover from a crime scene, right, we can't necessarily use the powders that we would use on windows and doors, etc. So sometimes it's appropriate for us to use the chem technicians to actually enhance those using specific chemicals in the laboratory.
Just very briefly on that point, chemical treatment enhancement is one of my specialities. I designed and built the first fingerprint laboratory in the Caribbean. Okay, they didn't have these techniques before. They were trying to do it from books with cardboard boxes and kits that were made up out of cotton wool and super glue and things like that. So we built and designed a complete forensic facility to enhance their capabilities to try and reduce the gun crime. The reason I bring this up is not to big me up, but to tell you that I did that and I do not hold a degree. Okay? You do not need that degree to achieve in these jobs. You can achieve using other qualifications. Okay? Obviously, I had to build up to a certain level with my professional status before I would get that opportunity, but that degree, I still haven't got a degree. Okay? So if you find it hard to get an academic degree, do not panic. All right? I'll hand back over to Gareth.
We will talk more about qualifications and the expectations in a second, just sort of map out some of the alternative career paths. But as part of that chem lab technician, it's not just about chemistry, or the use of chemical enhancements, it's also imaging using alternative light sources. It's probably the only part about CSI that's realistic, using UV lights, infrared lights. Apart from that, we then go into forensic science. There's obviously a number of roles in the police. We haven't got time to cover all of them. If you've got any questions, then come and speak to us afterwards, maybe at our stand. From the forensic investigation perspective, we've said that's the police. Forensic science, this is the laboratory-based sciences. This is the core science that you will specifically need academic qualifications to become an analyst in these subjects. So forensic science, again, encompasses a wide variety of scientific disciplines. These are just to name but a few, okay, that we could highlight today. So DNA analysis, forensic biology plays a massive part, obviously, in forensic examinations and forensic science. So DNA analysis, experts that analyse for the comparison of DNA, the extraction of DNA from samples and the comparison. Forensic biology, although that comes under that in some respects, forensic biology looking at crime scene stains. So if I as a CSI go to a scene and I recover using a swab, a sample that I can't identify, is it blood, is it saliva, is it maybe another body fluid, these are the people that I can ask those questions to and they can tell me exactly what that sample is, and then can we get DNA from it, we'll pass it to our analyst and they can then extract the DNA. Forensic chemistry, that kind of encompassing toxicology as well. So, if we find substances, so someone that's arrested with drugs on them, what is that? Is it a drug? What type of drug is it? We can send that to our chemists and ask them to specify exactly what the substance is. Toxicology obviously encompasses sort of looking at substances in our systems, alcohol levels, if we're looking at someone that's maybe potentially been drink driving, etc. Ballistics, obviously firearms examination, it's one of those things that, unfortunately in all countries, gun crime is one of the higher factors, and ballistics is something that we have to consider. Can we identify from looking at that bullet that's been recovered from a crime scene which gun fired it? We would again have to ask the expertise of a ballistics expert to judge opinion on that. And then another one, a diverse area of specialism, is fire investigation. There's experts out there, they might have come from a chemistry background that are now trained in fire investigation. They can analyse the accelerants that have been used. They can then compare those against suspects' clothes that in custody, and compare the accelerants from the scene against the trace of accelerants on those clothes. They can interpret the crime scene and the fire patterns in there. It's a separate level of expertise that, again, just from maybe a chemistry degree, you could expand out from that chemistry degree and specialise in fire investigation. There's some other things, and again, we're using this opportunity to say to potential forensic investigators, one of the things that we hear is people saying, I want to be a forensic pathologist. They watch Silent Witness, etc. on the telly. This is just to put to bed some of those kind of misconceptions. Forensic medical sciences are different to being a forensic scientist in some respects. So forensic odontology, if you aspire to do that, forensic science degrees isn't the answer. That's not where you want. That's not your career path. Your career path and academic path is to go to dentistry school to become a dentist, to then apply dentistry to a forensic matter, so you can then identify, victims of crime from bite marks, or, regrettably, disaster victim identifications that have been involved in mass disasters. You can use odontology to identify those victims or those suspects. Forensic pathology, you would need to become a medical doctor to be able to deal with the living patients, to then specialise in microscopic histopathology, looking down a microscope at cell slides, of diagnosing cancers, etc., medical illness and disease. Then you can specialise in applying your knowledge of the human body to forensic matters, an interpretation of wounds, gunshot wounds, stab wounds, assault wounds, etc. And forensic anthropology, you can achieve that through the route of a forensic BSc, a forensic science honours degree, and then you would have to specialise in a master's applied to forensic anthropology. But anthropology obviously being the human bones, looking at the human bones for purpose of identification. So all of these come under forensic medical sciences. So we always urge, aspiring forensic scientists to really choose your path through academia carefully, make an informed choice by researching accurately what you actually want to do and what you need to achieve that. There are other associated professions. So we've talked a lot about, academic, on the last slide, academic roles that you do need to go through that academic stage. There are other associated professions such as anatomical pathology technology. It's a bit of a grim subject because it predominantly means dealing with the dead. Obviously, a lot of the aspects that we deal with in forensics does involve death, dying, etc. This is assisting pathologists. So some people that say they want to be a forensic pathologist, they will have the opportunity to assist at post-mortems, learn the anatomy, the pathology behind examinations, but you can enter that into just general good GCSEs. Some hospitals or public mortuaries might require you to have A-levels, but it's something that someone can do if you're less academic. It's an alternative. The other options people say about coroners, I want to be a coroner. That means that you have to go to law school. To be a coroner, you either have to become a legal specialist, or you can be a medical practitioner, so a pathologist, a doctor, etc. However, on the flip side, coroner's officers are the officers that collate the paperwork, the statements, etc., create cases for the coroner, and they're employed mostly these days by local councils, some by police forces, some by councils. Again, that's an A-level route that you can go into with just general good A to C's in those qualifications, in general subjects. Now, We've got 5 minutes left, so...
Yeah. So we're going to quickly go on to what qualifications and prerequisites you actually need to get into the industry. Now, I teach in BTECs, forensic science BTECs, okay? So I'll roughly go over that side of it. These are in colleges and sixth forms, and these are what you would aspire to go for if you would want to get into the industry without doing a degree, or then to take a degree after this. These are the qualifications to get those degrees. So we'll look at A levels, A to C. You must have scientific subjects, but you also need maths. Okay, so if you're good at maths, do your A levels and do your sciences. Okay, Laura Bailey, our first World Skills champion, also had fine art as one of her A levels, but she had the other subjects as well. Okay, her sketch plans are absolutely beautiful. They take 3 days to do. Access to science and forensic science are from colleges, and they're access courses. So they're designed to enable you to access the higher education later. All right. BTEC National Diploma in Applied Science. There is a forensic science strand to that. It's a 2-year course, and you do that after leaving school. And that's for those less academic, but more practical people. Okay, like me. That's what I would have done if I was coming through the system now. Because I'm not that academic, I'm more a hands-on, vocational type of person. All right, and it gives you the equivalent of 3 A levels. And you'll hear people say, BTECs are rubbish, BTECs are this, BTECs are that. Okay, Laura Craig, one of our judges on the stand for the competition, is a practicing DNA scientist with Orchid Cell Mark. She did a BTEC in forensic science, she went to Staffordshire University and got first-class honours degree, and now she's working in the industry. Are BTECs rubbish? No, they're not. We need them. And on that note, very quickly, the lady on the end who joined us late is Medina. Medina is a BTEC student from London, so she's got about a minute now to give you a quick brief on her course.
Hello everyone. I study BTEC Forensic Science at Westminster College in London. So far, I'm in the second year in my BTEC course, and from the beginning, I did not have a clue of what forensic science was, to be honest. But then, as soon as I got into doing the crime scenes and investigating, getting the modules over and done with, it got me more interested into becoming a forensic scientist in the future. As my original plan was to do forensic science, BTEC, but then get into biomed in university, because that's another path that forensic science can lead to. So yeah, my experience with forensic science has been great. It has got me into this point where I'm in a competition with everyone else in here, and yeah, it's been a great course so far. So yeah, hopefully finishing that off, and might change my mind and become a forensic scientist instead of a biomedical scientist. So yeah.
Sorry, is this working? Oh. And what Medina was saying there, during that course she gets lots and lots of transferable skills as well. So it doesn't mean she has to stay in forensic science. Yeah, exactly. Okay? Forensic science is just the application of science into the law. That's all it means. So you can take that scientific subject and put it into the law.
Yeah, completely transferable. So obviously looking from the FE side of things going into the higher education, obviously a lot further in the future. So to become a forensic scientist, the actual raw analytical science, you will need a BSc honours degree in a specific scientific subject. So if your strength is chemistry, then consider your opportunities for toxicology, maybe fire investigation as a sort of latter part strand of your expertise. But go in and study a specific scientific subject. Forensic science degrees are fantastic. They give you a little knowledge about a lot of subjects. Whereas if you're going to go into a lab-based environment, a lot of our forensic scientists will advise come into a lab with an expertise in either biology, physics, chemistry, etc. And then you can learn the application of forensics around that. Not disrespecting forensic science degrees, they have a place, and they are purposely designed for maybe, say, crime scene investigation more so than the actual forensic science route, purely for the fact that you do learn many different subjects of forensic science. There are obviously alternatives that you can consider. Foundation degrees, again, it's like a BTEC versus A levels. Foundation degrees are applied, practical skills more so than academic. There is academic standards to it, but obviously it's more of a hands-on practical course where you can actually process crime scenes predominantly more so than learning analytical science, for example. So we do have our Dacia here that's going to be able to just give you a brief overview of her experience in higher education leading through to forensic science. So if you'd like to just have a few words, Dacia, please.
Hello, I'm currently studying forensic science and criminal investigation at the University of Central Lancashire in Preston. And when I first came onto the course, I thought that I wanted to solely be lab-based and working only with the equipment there and only do that. And since starting the course, we do modules in pretty much every aspect of crime investigation. We do lab analysis as well as we do mock crime scenes for crime scene investigation. And we also learn a lot about the law side and the policing. So we do policing modules like interview techniques and proactive police investigations, as well as criminal law studies. And from this experience, I've loved every part of it. But now I think I've changed my mind. I think I want to go straight down the crime scene investigations route and deal with investigations. So I think university courses like forensic science degrees really help you know more about what is expected of you and what different areas you can go into, and helps you just reaffirm definitely what you want to do in the future. And now I think I'll probably continue in academics and do a master's, and I think I want to do counter-terrorism, which is another course that is open to me from this degree. So thank you.
Thank you. So I think we're due to wind up now. However, we're in the same hall here, literally just over to the left behind us. So please come and see us if you've got any further questions you might want to ask. Alternatively, we do have a Facebook page where Gary predominantly posts updates, a lot of stuff, whether it's to do with education, whether it's to do with the industry itself. It's very useful, and it's a way of keeping in contact with us so we can offer you advice from our expert opinion, etc. But it's a way of keeping in contact with the practitioners, really.
Occasionally we will put not live cases, old cases that we've dealt with. We'll put some pictures on from that. Obviously nothing gory because we don't want to scare Facebook, never mind us. But we'll put live cases on, and then we'll talk about what we did in those cases, how we applied the sciences to those cases. Even though I haven't got a degree, I still apply science to my work. So science is really, really heavily involved in our lives. Okay? So the stand is just behind us, step back here. We run the forensic science competition. There's a huge banner right above it saying Complete Forensics. Come and find us and we'll answer any questions that you've got. Thank you very much.
Thank you.